Jack Grealish, was supposed to be the golden boy who had it all. Instead, he became the most misunderstood player in the game of football, mocked for his party lifestyle, criticised for his price tag, and dropped by his country. In his darkest moment, he found a way to silence every critic. In the next 18 minutes, we'll reveal the true journey of Jack Grealish, the childhood tragedy that shaped his soul, the agonising fall from grace, and the spectacular rebirth at Everton. Chapter 1. The soul of Solihull, childhood and unspeakable loss. Before the party boy reputation or £100 million headlines, there was a little boy in Solihull chasing a ball with socks rolled to his ankles. Born in the West Midlands, Jack Grealish belonged to a working-class Irish family, a place where football wasn't limited to a pastime. It was a way of life, an identity, a survival, and a promise he could never break. His childhood photos show a happy boy surrounded by siblings in a tight-knit household that valued community and family. But behind those laughs, there was heartbreak. In April 2000, when Jack was only 4 years old, his baby brother Keelan tragically died of sudden infant death syndrome at just 9 months. It left a wound that became his hidden fire. Long before the money, the trophies, or the fame, Jack carried a silent promise: to play for his brother who never got the chance. Every training session, every game, was a silent tribute to him. And that's also the reason his football journey began early. At just 6 years old, Grealish joined Aston Villa. His dad, Kevin, became his unofficial chauffeur, driving him to away games instead of letting him take the team bus. These father-son trips became a routine. Villa wasn't only a club for him, it was home. Coaches noticed not only his dribbling flair and trademark low socks, but also the incredible determination of a boy playing for more than himself. To toughen him up, Villa sent him on a loan spell. Still a teenager, Grealish was sent to League One side Notts County. Just imagine, a small boy who couldn't even drive yet. But once again, his dad was behind the wheel. Notts County were battling relegation, but for Grealish, it was a chance. A golden opportunity to learn the men's game. He was confident from day one. He made friends fast, refused to hide in curtains, and lit up games with his dribbling. The physical side of the lower leagues hit him early. On his debut, he was clattered within seconds. But every time he was knocked down, he stood up again. He played 40 games that season so far, assisted 7, scored 5, but beyond that, he lit up the matches with moments of skill that showed he was a level above everyone else. Promotion-chasing clubs came calling midway through the season, even Birmingham City. But Jack, he refused to betray his boyhood colours and stayed to help Notts County survive relegation in the club's greatest escape. Then came the dream moment. On May 7th, 2014, Jack returned to Aston Villa and made his debut against Manchester City. By early 2015, minutes came more regularly. He impressed in his first Premier League start against QPR and announced himself on the big stage in the FA Cup semi-final against Liverpool. He even set up Fabian Delph's winner to send Villa to Wembley. For a boy from Solihull who had been chauffeured away once by his dad, walking out at Wembley was nothing short of a dream. The magic came with mistakes. In the same season, photos surfaced of him inhaling nitrous oxide, which frustrated the manager, Tim Sherwood, and that was the beginning of a pattern. Dazzling on the pitch, reckless off it, Villa's relegation soon followed. Grealish tasted defeat in all 16 of his appearances. A rough season at this club, indeed. It was brutal, but for someone playing with such passion and a promise to his late brother, giving up wasn't an option. Then came another disaster in 2017. A ruptured kidney in pre-season left him hopeless. He was sidelined for 3 months straight. Later, he admitted that it was the scariest injury of his entire career, but instead of shattering him, it only deepened his determination to keep going. In November, he finally returned as a sub in a loss to Sheffield Wednesday. Chapter 2. The fire and the fight. Aston Villa's golden boy every footballer dreams of making it at their boyhood club. In Jack's case, he not only dreamed it, he lived it. Growing up in Birmingham, he joined the youth academy at Aston Villa at just 6 years old. From the start, he had that spark. With a fearless mentality, he glided past defenders and played with a confidence far beyond his age. But breaking into Villa's first team wasn't simple. When Grealish began to make appearances, The club was battling relegation, missing strong leadership, divided among fans, struggling, yet even as a scrawny teenager, he showed flashes of brilliance. Soon, he became a symbol of hope for a fallen giant, living proof that the academy could still produce a hero. In 2016, Villa's decline hit rock bottom with relegation. Bigger clubs came knocking, but Grealish refused to leave. Instead, he signed a new 5-year deal with Villa in September, silencing transfer rumours and earning respect. He stayed to fight for the badge, and fans loved him for it. Back in the top flight, his influence exploded. The 2018-19 season changed everything. He was named captain in March, and something clicked. He provided 6 assists and scored 8 goals, and beyond that, he was fouled a record-breaking 167 times, the most in a single Premier League campaign. On the final day, he delivered again, scoring in a 1-1 draw with West Ham that secured Villa's survival. That resilience became the definition of his leadership. By 2020-21, he had 10 assists and 6 goals in just 26 matches. The England call-up followed, and suddenly Jack Grealish was the most talked-about player in the league. He wasn't just a captain anymore, he was the heartbeat of Aston Villa. As one, he allowed others to feel things were possible. Without a doubt, he carried the weight of a broken kingdom on his soft, low-socked ankles and gave Villa back its pride. Chapter 3, the £100 million crown. It was the summer of 2021, and the football spotlight turned to one man, Jack Grealish. In one of the most sensational transfers in Premier League history, Manchester City paid £100 million, around €117.5 million, for the Aston Villa star, making him the most expensive player of all time. And only 2 years earlier, from 2019 to 2021, Grealish had gone from an academy product to the leader and face of Aston Villa. So when he made his £100 million move on the 5th of August, 2021, the world believed this was the moment he would step into football's elite. The transfer wasn't just a deal, it was a statement. It wasn't just a transfer, it was the highest fee a British club had ever paid at the time, a 6-year contract, and the chance to play under Pep Guardiola. City handed him the iconic 10-number shirt that was worn by Sergio Aguero back then. At the same time, the pressure of the record fee hung over him. Headlines screamed of a new superstar. Fans flooded the Etihad in anticipation, waiting for him to become their hero. Naturally, the expectations were high. He made his debut in the 1-0 loss to Tottenham. Then he scored his very first goal for City in a 5-0 win over Norwich. Plus, he even marked his Champions League debut with a goal and an assist in a 6-3 win over RB Leipzig. All these moments felt like signs of a new star being born. But the adaptation wasn't instant. From the very start, there were warning signs. Grealish wasn't taking this new chapter of his career as seriously as he should have been. His old habits came to life again. By December of 2021, which was only a few months into his recent City career, Foden and Grealish were dropped from the squad for a match against Newcastle after they were spotted at a nightclub. The shock was immediate. Fans had sung his name weeks earlier, but now they woke to headlines questioning his professionalism. The £100 million crown was already slipping, and that was a reminder that even with all the talent and skills in the world, your professionalism can be questioned terribly. Yet his story started to shift. The 2022 over 2023 season was his peak at Manchester City. He recorded 5 goals, 50 breakthrough appearances, and 11 assists in all competitions. That said, he became a vital part of Guardiola's system, pressing harder, tracking back more, sacrificing personal stats for the team. The season undoubtedly ended in history. Grealish then became the face of festivities at City's treble. But even in glory, his image was split. On the pitch, a champion. Off it, a man stumbling through drunken celebrations. His bit hungover confession for England duty only deepened that contrast. For fans, he became both an idol and a frustration, proof that brilliance and recklessness can coexist in the same player. But football? That never stays still. Even Pep Guardiola noticed a change, and later he reflected on this shift, pointing toward a dip in form after the treble, saying that He is the same player, he has the same manager, and the way we play has not changed. It's just the way he has performed. That's the difference. The £100 million crown was not just a triumph, it was a burden. Every goal was celebrated twice, but every mistake was judged tenfold. In the end, City hadn't just bought a player, they bought a spotlight that never switches off. And as Grealish wrestled with the weight of expectation, another story was waiting proof that betrayal and disappointment could cut even deeper in English football. Chapter 4: The perceived downfall, confusion and criticism. But for fans, it felt like a cruel illusion. One moment, Jack was everyone's favourite, the heartbeat of Aston Villa. The next, he was an expensive signing swallowed whole by Pep Guardiola's machine. At City, everything was completely different. He wasn't the show anymore, but a cog in the system that demanded discipline, structure, and patience. The freedom that once made him electric was clipped by tactical strings. And slowly, the light dimmed. The numbers told the story. 3 assists, 3 goals in his debut Premier League season. And those numbers were shocking, especially for an enormous £100 million signing. What was supposed to be football's golden deal now looked like a gamble gone wrong. Fans mocked him, pundits questioned him, the media piled on with harsh headlines, labelling him an overpriced and flop. For a player like him, who used to run the whole show, this was a big change. During his time at Villa, he had the freedom, but under Pep, it was the opposite. Pep wanted his wings to stay wide and high to stretch the defence, a tactical cage where trust in the system replaced instinct. I see a player who has incredible talent that's been absolutely coached out of him. Even Pep himself was explicit and admitted. Savinho is in better shape than Jack. They have to fight. The criticism continued, and injuries made things even worse. Each setback felt like a hammer striking the £100 million price tag. In the 2023-24 season alone, Jack missed 17 matches because of injuries. His rhythm snapped, his starting spot vanished, and with every absence, his reputation sank deeper. Lack of consistency, strong competition in the team, constant injuries, all of it left him behind. Far behind, in fact. Off-field issues didn't help his reputation either. Late 2023, his home was robbed while his family was inside. This incident left a lasting emotional impact, and even Jack himself called it a traumatic experience on his Instagram handle.
Well, unfortunately, nothing wrong happened in terms of what the family was inside. It was, it's what it is today in modern days, with many things happen, and bad moment for him and his family, but fortunately the family was not damaged with the people inside.
At the same time, his constant appearances at nightclubs and parties made things worse. Each blurry tabloid photo became fuel for critics. Instead of headlines about his goals, the papers screamed about his nightlife. People started to question his professionalism, and then came the biggest blow. Left out of England's Euro 2024 squad, this guy admitted he was absolutely heartbroken. Close friends even told news channels that it shattered his self-esteem, while outsiders were seeing it as proof of his decline. By now, the story had totally flipped. £100 million hadn't bought a leader, it bought a passenger. The fearless street footballer who once carried Villa now looked broken, burdened by doubt, haunted by injuries, and stuck in confusion. No sparkle anymore. The joy was gone. The boy who had once played with low socks and high dreams now carried the image of wasted potential. And as England marched on without him, fans were left asking, had Jack Grealish's crown already slipped beyond repair? Chapter 5: The silent transformation. Winning the treble. The headline said, flop. The critics mocked his hefty price tag, but beneath the noise, Jack was evolving. Quietly, stubbornly, he reshaped his game, learning to survive and then thrive in Pep Guardiola's world. He stayed disciplined, carried the ball with purpose, and embraced the hard, ugly work few stars would ever choose. Instead of forcing the spotlight, he dragged away defenders, created space for teammates, and won fouls that got rivals like Romero and Nathan Collins sent off without the overlapping fullbacks that once carried him at Villa. This wasn't the Villa version of Grealish. The fearless maverick was gone, replaced by a calculated player who sacrificed flair for structure, slowed the tempo, and traded freedom for responsibility. It didn't always show on the stat sheet, but Pep noticed. Guardiola stood firm. He repeatedly defended him in front of critics.
Jack is an incredible human being. In terms of gestures and with the other people, he's incredibly generous. Something wrong would happen is, for himself, but not for the other ones.
Insisting Grealish shouldn't be judged by numbers alone, but by his ability to bring balance, control, and rhythm to the side.
I said many times to them, you are here because I trust unconditionally for all of them, because I know them. Is there extend the content Riyadh because I trust unconditionally with him. And Jack is not the exception. Now scored a goal, it was a good performance, quite similar to the play against BFOB.
And gradually, things started to shift. Patience paid off. Then came 2022/23, his breakout year at City. He scored just 55 seconds into the win over Wolves in September. Then, he scored in the Manchester derby in January and again in February against Arsenal. Each goal wasn't just a stat, it was proof that he belonged at the top. Things were great, even in Europe. He set up Mahrez against RB Leipzig as his influence kept growing. The Champions League became his stage. Jack created 35 chances, the most ever by an English player in a single campaign. In the semi-final against Real Madrid, he was everywhere, pressing, dribbling, dragging defenders, and helped City crush the Spanish giants 4-0 inches the second leg. By May, history was made. The Premier League, the FA Cup, the Champions League. Grealish even started the final against Inter Milan as City completed their first ever treble. What followed was peak Grealish off the pitch. Days of wild partying, turning up to the parade in full kit, living on adrenaline and champagne. But behind the chaos, there was a profound truth. While the world debated his worth, Jack had transformed himself. He sacrificed style for structure, traded personal glory for collective immortality. Chapter 6. The resurgent hero beyond the party boy. The critics thought they had him figured out, a £100 million maverick turned champagne mascot. But Jack Grealish wasn't done yet. On the surface, he looked non-serious, posting pictures at a nightclub, but from inside, the player was growing, maturing, and constantly fighting to prove he was more than a party boy. Some people still say that Pep made him robotic, but that's not the truth. Pep made him play safe because his maverick style didn't translate to winning football. At Aston Villa, his risk-taking felt like artistry. At Manchester City, it could be fatal. When you're chasing every trophy, chaos has no place. Ironically, it was at Manchester City where the party boy image finally matched his glory. The treble celebrations painted him as the best entertainer in football. Yet beneath the beer-soaked parades, he was also becoming crucial to Guardiola's system. And then the 2024/25 season hit like a crash. The guy barely touched grass. Just 16 starts in all competitions and 7 in the league. He was left out of City's Club World Cup trip to the US and even dropped for the final match of the campaign. But the dip in minutes wasn't about a lack of ability. It was about evolution. Pep's rotation grew harsher, new signings arrived, and Grealish's role shifted from showman to system player. And when City needed control, that's when Jack's value shone. He slowed the tempo, dragged defenders out of position, recycled his possessions. He wasn't the talisman at Villa anymore. He was the glue in Pep's machine, invisible yet indispensable. Pep himself stated, "Jack is an extraordinary player who needs to play every 3 days. That hasn't happened recently, with us or somewhere else. That will be decided by him, his agent, and the club." England, too, started to feel his presence once again. After battling inconsistency and injuries, he reclaimed his position in Southgate's squad. His bravery and creativity on the ball offered what the natural team often lacked: imagination. But perhaps the biggest change came off the pitch. In 2024, he became a father when Sasha Atwood gave birth to their daughter. Fatherhood didn't just soften his image, it sharpened his purpose. The boy who was once more interested in wild nights now spoke about legacy, responsibilities, and family, and the maturity also carried onto the pitch. Once an easy target for tabloids, Grealish now brushed off criticism with composure and channeled it into performances rather than distractions. When he smiled in between games, it reminded fans that he was still fearless, but now with medals to back it up. The medals were an addition to the fearlessness now, though. For him, this era is all about fulfilling promises, not only to himself, but to his family and late brother Keelan. His story is more than about football success. It's to prove that his heart and resilience can silence the mouths of doubters. As one headline also captured it, Jack Grealish didn't just survive the pressure, he owned it. That proves true champions never die. They may vanish for a while, but when they return, they set the game on fire. Conclusion: the man behind the headlines. And there you have it. When you trace Jack Grealish's story, you can't help but ask, was he really a £100 million mistake? Or was he just the kind of player who needed time to be understood? Were the headlines nothing but the noise that came with fame? But what we all do know is this: Jack went from the streets of Birmingham to carrying Villa, from being mocked at City to becoming a European champion. Yes, he was doubted, questioned, and even written off. And like a real champ, he found a way back every single time. Not with numbers on a stat sheet, but with grit, with courage, with the kind of football that wins trophies when it matters the most. So yes, he isn't just the party boy anymore. He's the man who fell, rose again, and showed that greatness isn't about being flawless. It's about refusing to stay down.